sorry the last couple of days were tough. Oh, no,
All right, 1 second. All right, we're good to go.
Okay, Rick? All right, let's get her started. Okay, so good evening, everyone. I guess we don't have to worry about people finding the fire exits in their homes. Hopefully they know where they are.
Let's see, where is it?
Okay, you got a lot of water there, Doug. You should be good. Okay. So what we'll do tonight is just so all of our guests can understand that we're going to review the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes to look at from February and March. And then tonight we have 12 applications, and who knows how long they'll take. When the application is read, then the applicant will be allowed to speak. And then when they finish their presentation, we'll, as usual, the board members can ask questions. Once we finish that, then we'll invite if there's anyone in the public that wants to speak regarding the application, and after that, close the public hearing and move on. Again, those of you who are on YouTube or participating in the meeting can stay and listen to the deliberations if you wish. If not, then you can contact Rick DiStefano tomorrow at the town hall and find out what the result of your application is. Rick, is there anything you want to let us know other than some decorum here, which we'll have Jeremy maybe speak about?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. All right, Jeremy, do you want to do a few little rules of the road for everybody, please?
Yes. So the plan tonight is to have everyone in the meeting listening. And when it is your turn or you're requested to speak or called upon, or you'd like to get the attention of the board, we're asking that you please use the raise hand feature within Zoom. Depending on what client you're on, that kind of functions differently. It's either in your participants list if you're on the Windows client. It is at the bottom of your screen if you are on either a phone or the web client. If you do that raised hand, we'll be able to see who that is. You'll receive a message from the town asking to either unmute or to turn on your camera so we can see and talk to you. If you need any more information on how to use any of those features, or there's anything you're confused about, if you go to townofbrighton.org under the live streaming session, there's some links at the bottom that show how to use the features of Zoom that we use in these meetings. The last thing is we would request that you use the rename feature to rename your user to your actual name so that we can see who it is when they're raising a hand and it doesn't show up as iPad or Galaxy phone or something of that ilk. So from my standpoint, I think that's all I have unless there are any other questions.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate it. We'll work through it. Okay, Rick. So at this point, then I'd like to call to order the July session of the Brighton Zoning Board of Appeals. Was the meeting properly advertised, Rick?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it was advertised in the Brighton Pittsburgh Post on June 25th, 2020.
Okay, could you please call the roll?
Clapp? Mr. Clapp?
Here. Yes, here.
If everybody could just kind of raise their hand when
Yeah, be
I
quicker.
call you, just so people can see it. Ms. Schwartz? Say yes.
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright?
Here.
Mr. Mites?
Here.
Ms. Watson?
Here.
Ms. Schmidt? Ms. Dale? Please let the record show that Ms. Dale is not present.
Okay. So the first order of business tonight is the minutes. So we'll start with the February minutes. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions to the February minutes? Judy, go ahead, Judy.
Okay, on page 32 and 33, just correct the name to Shailish, S-H-A-I-L-E-S-H, Patel, on all those pages, those 2. On page 38, line 16, The name should be Sabra, S-A-B-R-A. On page 39, line 17, the fourth word is walking. On page, I'll get there, hold on. I'm sorry. Page 44, line 24, the first word should be ratio, R-A-T-I-O. On page 58, line 5, I believe the times should just be reversed. It should say from 5 to 9.
Yes.
On page 59, line 3, the word, it should read to be removed. And line 68, line 21, delete the word is. Page 73, condition number 1 on line 7, guys, it's incomplete. Maybe Rick and Dennis want to work on that after the meeting, but it's just nothing. And line 10, the last word should be obtained. Page 74, line 15, insert the word is after backyard. And lastly, page 79, line 5, the last word is more. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Judy. Does anyone else have anything else for February? Okay, so could I have a motion to accept the February minutes?
So moved.
A second.
Motions to approve with corrections, Mr. Clapp,
Second. Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt, Mike.
Is there a mic? Okay.
Please let the
Yes.
record show that the minutes were approved with conditions.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now let's look at March. Are there any corrections to the March minutes? Anyone have anything? They looked okay to me.
I move to approve the March minutes.
Okay,
Second.
Second.
Okay, Jennifer put the second.
yeah,
Motion is to approve. Mr. Clapp,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Abstain.
Ms. Tompkins Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Mites,
yes,
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt.
Yes.
Let the record show the minutes were approved.
okey dokey. Very fine. All right, so I guess we're ready for our first application. It's application 4A1, 4A01. So Rick, if you could read it.
I'll read the first two applications. They're the same property. Application 4A0120, application of FNH Development, owner of property located at 1338 Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road, for an area variance from section 205-8 to allow a building addition to extend 2 feet into the 50-foot side setback required by code. All is described in the application and plans on file. And application 4A0220, application of FNH Development, owner of property located at 1338 Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road, for an area variance from section 203-93C5 to allow for outdoor storage of construction equipment in both side yards and move the rear yard only as allowed by code. All is described in the application and plans on file.
Okay,
I believe we have Eric.
Marathon?
Eric, let's see, hang on 1 second. I lost my part.
Yep, let's see, am I on yet? This is
You're
Eric
on.
Shaw. Okay. And Dave Howard
Yeah.
is here somewhere.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
very good.
So please proceed, gentlemen.
All right, well, thank you for agreeing to do this. I know Zoom is something still relatively new. I had my planning board meeting here in Brighton last couple weeks ago by Zoom. We're here tonight for F&H Development, who has
Eric,
an
could you-
existing.
Eric,
Yep.
could you just introduce yourself for the audience?
Oh,
please?
I'm sorry. Yep, I thought when we did that, when we're making sure I was on. Good evening. I'm Eric Schaff, Marathon Engineering, with offices at 39 Cascade Drive in the city of Rochester. Our client tonight is F&H Development. Also online via Zoom is Dave Hauer, representing F&H Development. F&H Development has an existing revocable temporary use permit to operate their business as an accessory, in an accessory building rather, at 1338 Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road. That's a 1.58 acre parcel located on the north side of that road, approximately a half mile west of West Henrietta Road. The property is zoned IG, light industrial. They would like to do an improvement project. The key objectives of that project would be to improve the aesthetics of the site, provide some delineation of the storage area, and improve the efficiency and effectiveness of their overall operation. Specifically, they're proposing to construct additions to the existing building, as well as reconfigure the existing parking facility. This parking facility looks small, but it's sized to accommodate the tenants of the existing principal structure, as well as the owners of F&H Development. Their business does not receive visitors. A 6-foot solid fence will encompass the building, garage, and the outdoor storage yard. Landscaping is being provided along Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road, as well as on the roadside of the parking area. No new utility work is proposed. We went before the planning board for the town of Brighton on June 17th and were granted conditional approval for site plan and the conditional use permit necessary to operate the outdoor storage. We are here tonight requesting 2 variances, as Rick mentioned, to allow a building side setback of 48 feet versus 50 feet, and to allow outdoor storage in both side yards. In the interest of time, knowing you have a full agenda, I'll stop here and answer any questions, and we can get into as much detail as you'd like.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so any questions by the board members? Okay, we've
Yes,
seen,
just-
go ahead.
Just one question. Could you explain how the business has changed to require that additional or the addition for in the interior space, just for our information?
I will let the client, Dave Hauer, answer that one. Dave, I think you're on.
Yes, I'm here. If he could repeat that, I'll be able to hear him. I couldn't hear him before.
Sure. How has the business changed to make the need for additional indoor space? Just for our information.
We handle commercial, industrial, commercial plowing in the wintertime. And due to the increase of equipment that the plows and the pushers and certain equipment that has become very expensive. A typical setup runs between $7,000 and $10,000 now. And with people liquidating, stealing equipment these days, this additional storage will allow us to have that valuable equipment stored inside, so we don't have to have it outside. And then some other hand tools and other.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
This is Andrea Wright, member Wright. And just so that it's on the record, one of the constraints of this site, why the addition is coming into the setback, there's a wetlands on this property and a 100-foot buffer, meaning you can't really use the entire property to put an addition on. Is that correct?
Yes.
Absolutely. It's, I don't know if you can notice it, but yes, everything basically to the back of the property is wetland. One of the other things we'll be doing is, as I mentioned briefly, was to delineate that area so that it's clear what is wetland and not to be used and what is just going to be used for storage.
Okay,
very
thank
good.
you.
Good. You want to talk about, we blended these two together, right, Rick? To talk
Yes, we
about.
did.
Okay, so can you talk about how aesthetically you're going to improve the property by dealing with this outdoor storage area, please?
Well, first and foremost, we are constructing that solid 6-foot fence, which will totally encompass the entire storage yard. In addition, then what we're doing is we're putting landscaping on the Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road side of that fence. So that, the view from the road is not just a fence, but you're really looking at shrubbery. In addition, we're putting that same degree of landscaping on the Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road side of the parking facility. So you won't even see the cars, if you will, that are parked there.
Okay,
This dramatically enhances it. Just for the record, the properties on either side are vacant. But we do believe that this will be a tremendous improvement over what we have today.
okay, great. And can we be assured that with this amount of outdoor storage that there will be nothing outside of any of these encapsulated areas?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. All right. Okay, any other questions by the board members?
Yeah, this is Rick DiStefano. Just one thing, Dave. Can you explain a little bit about what will be stored in that outside storage area?
There will be a couple pickup trucks. There will be a couple backhoes, a skid steer, and 2 small dump trucks and a salt truck that we use for our winter, for our business in the wintertime.
Oh, you're not looking at any construction debris or anything like that?
No, it's going to be, Rick, it's all going to be equipment that so it'll be behind the fence line, behind the green space in that area.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Are there any other questions?
No, but if I could just follow up, I will say that one of the conditions the planning board put on was to require that the equipment be stored, like the backhoes, in the lowest, if you will, status or condition, and that no material, should there ever be material, be stored above the fence line.
Oh, good.
Okay. So you're talking about like a salt pile or a mulch pile or something like that. Okay.
Right. That was one of the conditions that the planning board put on, which we obviously will be complying with.
Okay, sounds good. All right, again, any other questions? Okay,
Just one quick comment. You don't expect then anything to really be showing above your fences, Judy?
No material as in mulch or salt piles.
But some of
The
the equipment.
backhoes and some of the equipment is taller than 6 feet. So
Okay.
you'll be able to see some of that.
Okay.
okay. All right, we all set? Okay. All right, so at this point then, is there anyone in the public that would like to speak regarding this application?
Wait a second. I don't see any hands raised.
All set?
Yeah,
Okay,
we're good.
okay, at this point then, the public hearing is closed.
We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Application 4A0320, application of the University of Rochester, owner of property located at 250 East River Road for renewal of a temporary revocable use permit pursuant to section 219-4 to erect a tent and hold up to 3 outdoor special events for the years 2020 and 2021. Also described in application and plans on file.
Okay, very good. Who do we have speaking for U of R?
I believe Don Libby.
Yeah, looks like he's got his hand raised. Yeah.
Good evening, esteemed board members. Yes, my name is Don Libby. I am new to the university and new to your process. I understand that this revocable permit we put in every 2 years for our Meliora and commencement event. And we'd like to continue to work with the town of Brighton and make sure that we apply for the proper permits and always abide by town rules along with the fire department NOSHA rules. And we look forward to working with you for a long time in the future.
Okay. Could you, Don, could you just tell us a little about what the events are and that sort of thing? for the
Sure,
record?
we do our commencement, and they do a picnic in the area and put some tables under the tents. And they do a homecoming event where they do some picnics and put tables and chairs under. And they, you know, of course, we will apply for the actual permits at the time of the event ahead of time to make sure that we are code compliant with number of personnel and what can be and what will not be under the tent.
Okay. All right, so basically there's really no change from what you did last year?
Well, sir, to be honest, no, except if we do it this year, it's going to be in a much smaller event. As you're all
Right.
aware, we're all dealing with
Right.
COVID.
Correct. Okay. Well, hopefully by next year, things will be in a better stead, so.
You know, God willing, we'll all still be here. We'll all be very healthy and in a better place.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so any questions by the board members? Pretty straightforward here.
This is member Andrea Wright. You don't actually have a date for the first event then? You're sort of kind of waiting to feel this out?
You are absolutely right. We are waiting for more guidance from Governor Cuomo and the CDC. Currently, we have no events scheduled, but just in case we are allowed to, we'd like to, you know, have the revocable permit granted by this board. And of course, we would reach out to you ahead of time and put in additional permitting if and when we can have an event this year, and hopefully we can.
Okay, that's good. All right. Any other questions by the board members? Okay, great. All right. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak? Audience, excuse me, on the Zoom who would like to speak regarding this?
Don't see anyone, Dennis?
Okay, great. Okay, at this point, then the public hearing is closed.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your
Thank
time
you.
tonight. I greatly appreciate that. I know that you're all very busy, so I do appreciate your time and your
Thank you.
considerations. You have a wonderful night.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay,
Application 4A0420, application Rochelle Tulip, owner of property located at 119 Westland Avenue for an area variance in section 205-2 to allow a building addition and deck to extend 1.5 inches into the existing 3.5 foot side setback where a 7.5 foot side setback is required by code. As described in application and plans on file.
okay, who do we have to speak for this?
I'm Serge. I work with DesignWorks Architecture.
Okay, great. So why don't you give us your name and address, please?
Yep, Serge. I work for DesignWorks Architecture. My last name is Svasman, Tsvasman. We're located in Fairport, New York, 6 North Main Street. Currently located in our homes.
Right.
And 110 Oak Lane for me in
Okay,
Brighton.
great. Okay,
And I'm here today to ask for variance for a non-conforming setback to encroach an additional 1.5 inches into a side yard. Currently, what has become evident to us was that the house porch was built, maybe the house itself, that wasn't built parallel to the side yard setback property line. And that became apparent as we were trying to create a small addition to the northwest corner of the lot of the house, and thought it would be prudent to go to the board as opposed to pretending like there wasn't an issue. So hopefully you guys will be understanding of this request, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Well, first, could you just tell us why the addition has to be in the location that it is and why it's sized the way it is and that sort of thing?
Yep, so this addition itself will allow for the existing small den office to become a bedroom. And it will allow for a bathroom and a small stackable laundry on the first floor of this house. So this addition is a much scaled down version of what was proposed originally. We haven't proposed it to the board, obviously, but proposed to the client, and that was, so we ended up here. It would be a more seamless look if we were able to combine the two roofs into one, and allow this to look as it would in most of the homes actually on this block, have similar shaped and sized porches that were converted into interior space, conditioned space.
Okay, so it would be fair to say then you have minimized it.
Significantly, yeah. This addition aligns with both corners of the existing house. It sort of infills that little section there where there's a small patio.
Okay. Okay, so board members, questions?
So basically, you're doing this really to give better use of the existing space with this bit of addition.
Yeah, this house is, like many of these sort of ad hoc additions, and the spaces are tight. It would be, beneficial to this client to be able to have a guest bedroom in addition to, the two other bedrooms that they already have for their daily use. So.
Okay. Other questions?
The additional 1.5 inches, is that because of the roof line and the overhang?
It's actually the north property line and the north wall of the foundation are askew. So as we go to the west, that difference narrows down from 3.3 to 3.2, and in this case, that's 1.5, roughly a little less than 1.5 inches. But it's certainly, we're here because it's a non-conforming setback to begin with.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Okay, good.
We have a letter from the neighbor, by the way, I failed to mention, in support of this project.
Yeah, just for the record, we did receive a letter from the residents at 117 Westland Avenue in support of the application.
Okay, great.
There's
Okay.
There's a fence in between the two properties there. I don't know if you can see it, but certainly will screen and will be unaffected by this project.
Okay, that's great. Okay, any other questions by the board members? Okay, great. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak regarding this application?
I see no hands raised.
Okay, great. Then the public hearing is closed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good
For
day,
the
bye.
record, application 4A0520 has been postponed by the applicant. Application 4A0620, application of Joe Alaco, owner of property located at 2700 Elmwood Avenue, for an area variance from section 207-10E5 to allow a parking lot expansion to be within 2 feet of a side lot line in lieu of the minimum 4 feet required by code, and up to the street line where a 15-foot setback is required by code. Also have an application and plans on file.
Okay, Greg's ready there.
Good evening. My name's Greg McMahon. I'm with McMahon LaRue Associates, 822 Holt Road, Webster, New York. And also on Zoom tonight is Joe Alaco, who is the owner of the building at 2700 Elmwood Avenue.
Okay, very good. Just how about, yeah, you're all set, Greg. Go ahead.
Now, the request before you tonight is to add 3 parking places in an area on the plan you see on your screen right out adjacent to the right-of-way of Elmwood Avenue. That is currently a grass area. However, underneath all of that are RG&E gas utilities, and there's actually asphalt under that grass, which is one reason they've never been able to grow any significant grass there, and you cannot plant. It's not open for tree planting or anything. I'll let Joe speak to the to the need of these parking places, but the proposal is, again, to place 3 parking places. They would mirror parking that already exists on the 12 Corners Plaza that abuts that same property line. So if Joe is there, he can talk a little bit about his need at that location.
Okay.
Yes, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So our situation at the plaza had, we have 3 tenants there. I'm a tenant there. We have a dentist office that's there, and we have an insurance office. The office has been growing, and they need more parking space. So we're in a situation where if I can't provide those spaces, we're going to lose them as a tenant. And right now, the current economy we're in, I really can't afford to lose a tenant. We've had some issues. The dentist has been having a really hard time because he's been closed. He actually just reopened. So the only tenant that's paying rent is myself and the insurance agency. And if I can't provide more parking spaces for that insurance agency, then I'm going to lose him as a tenant, and which would be a real hardship for me and the building.
Okay. So it was hard because your phone was clicking a little bit there. So which tenant has caused the requirement for the parking? Because it's not your property management firm, it's one of the other 2?
Yes, sir. It's Quinton Insurance.
Okay. So what, have they added staff, or could you be a little more?
Yeah, yes, sir. They've added staff over the last, they've been there 7 years. So they've added staff, and that's the use. There's really the public really doesn't come in that office at all. It's strictly for, local people that work there.
Okay. Okay. How would you manage these 3 spaces? In other words, would these be considered, like, since if they were built, that they're obviously not there today, would they be like the overflow or the last parking, or how would you manage this?
They would be the last spots taken. They would definitely be overflow. That's our plan. And God willing, if we reopen and things get back to normal, and that dentist can reopen, then those spots will be very, very vital.
I know that I'm sorry, Dennis, are you done?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. I know that when cars are parked there won't be any problem telling the difference between the driveway parking area from the building at 12 Corners versus your building at 2700. But I'm concerned when there are no cars there with people just cutting through and cutting over. To me, it's a little bit dangerous. Have you given any thought to perhaps putting, you said you can't grow anything, and of course, if you blacktop it, but is there any chance of putting maybe a decorative L-shaped fence or something just to delineate those 2 properties, and also really for a safety feature?
If you see what's there now, there's arborvitae. There's a row of arborvitae there that
Up
stops.
to the street?
They don't go all the way to the street. They
Right,
stop.
I'm concerned about going out towards the sidewalk there. It's very pedestrian.
So I was thinking we could extend the arborvitae to the sidewalk.
Okay,
And the reason we never did it is the 12 Corners Plaza really doesn't have a lot of place to put snow. And I was always accommodating to them, letting them, if they needed to push some snow there, we would let them do it. And then last year they didn't put any snow there at all. So I think they ended up getting a loader there, and they put it to the other side now. So I'd be happy to bring a row of arborvitae all the way to the sidewalk to match what's there. That's not a problem.
right. I think it would be aesthetically pleasing, but also I really am concerned about the safety feature when no cars happen to be parked there. So thank you.
Okay.
I understand. Makes sense.
Thank you.
Andrea, did you have any questions?
Well, I just want, making sure that you believe that these additional 3 parking spaces will meet your needs or your tenants' needs for right now?
Yeah, they would. You know, in the insurance business, you know, they hire, you know, 2 to 3 people every few years. So they're about to do their next round of hiring, and their lease comes due. So they're not willing to sign a new lease unless I can provide them those spaces. And those spaces, you know, I'm confident it's going to last them, you know, at least, you know, the next 5 to 7 years, if not more.
Okay. All right. Board members, any other questions for either of these gentlemen?
Dennis, I have a couple questions, one technical and one not so technical.
Okay.
I'll ask Greg, do you find these parking spaces that could possibly cause a problem with the ingress and egress there, being so close to cars pulling off of Elmwood Avenue while somebody might be backing out of a parking space?
Yeah, Rick, I mean, there's always an issue. I mean, it could be, but it's probably not a lot different than parking at Wegmans. I mean, when you back out, you know, you're always looking for that person coming down the aisle that's not paying attention. So I think, sure, there's always a chance, but I think it's just, you know, if you're pulling out of those spots, you've got to be vigilant, looking for somebody to turn in.
Right. Well, one of my other concerns is that somebody on Elmwood Avenue who's trying to pull in while other cars are maneuvering in and out of those spaces, what that does to the backup in that area.
Yeah, I mean, it could, if a car, let's say a car is backing out and you've got a car trying to make a right-hand or a left-hand turn into that entrance, you know, it's going to be, you know, a few seconds while they wait for that car to straighten out and pull out, and they'd be able to pull in. So yeah, conceivably, occasionally it could result in a short delay for a vehicle turning into that driveway. But I wouldn't see it as being excessive. And again, if that's the overflow parking area, and you know, it makes sense that would be, because there is no really front entrance into this building. If someone parks in those spots, they have to walk all the way around the rear of the building to enter. So those are going to be the last spots filled. So, you know, I'm guessing that there may be at least half of the time there won't be any cars parked out there.
And Joe, I have a question for you, or just more of a statement. Back in 2012, when you bought the building, the zoning board granted you a modification to the use variance to allow for a medical use, the dentist office.
Yes, sir.
It was told to the board back then that there wouldn't be a parking issue with the medical use because the two offices upstairs were basically 1 or 2 man offices. So that pretty much assured the board that, hey, we won't be coming back for a parking need because we can control what's going on upstairs, and the dentist, you know, will have plenty of parking for their clients. Now we're coming back to the board because we don't have a control over the tenants upstairs. And I find that, you know, a little disingenuous to the board, because that's one reason that they granted that use variance for the medical on a lower level. I mean, can you address that for me?
Yeah, I mean, with all due respect, I think saying it's disingenuous. How many years ago was that, Rick?
It was 8 years ago.
Yeah, so 8 years ago, the insurance company has grown. The dentist office, as I told the board then, was not going to grow. And as a matter of fact, the dentist office is smaller now than it was then. He's down 1 hygienist from he was when he moved in. So the insurance company has grown, and I think you know, over 8 years, that's we've been fine. And now their lease is up for renewal, and they've hired people, and you know, that's where I'm at. So 8 years ago, you know, we were fine, and we did really well up until, you know, I would say last year. And then COVID hit, and obviously everybody went home. So, but now the insurance office's lease is due, and they just want some reassurance that, God willing, if things reopen, that I have some overflow parking that we don't have currently. And I also want to say that you mentioned those spots at 12 Corners. That in 12 Corners Plaza, those spots at the 12 Corners Plaza entrance have the same identical issues that my spots would have, as far as egress, pulling out, and having to be careful. And so, and I can tell you that my window is right there, and I watch those spots and the people back in and out of there on a daily basis. And I've never seen a problem, thank goodness. So
Yeah, I think I don't want to get into a argument over this, Joe, or anything. I think the access point to 12 Corners is a little further away from those parallel parking spaces. It'll be across from yours.
we'd have to ask Greg that. I mean, he would.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I think that entrance way is down a little bit, but again, that's not what I'm concerned with at this point.
All right. Are there any other questions by the board members, please? Okay, very good. Is there anyone in the audience? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kathleen.
No, I just had one question. Is the tenant requesting that they need 3 parking spaces, or they said that they need an additional space or 2?
They requested 3 parking spaces.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak?
I see no raised hands.
Okay, and then at this point, the public hearing is closed.
Thank you for your time, everyone. Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Application 4A0720, applicant of Jose Quesada and Carla Casolo, owners of property located at 49 Brookside Drive, for an area variance from section 205-2 to allow building lot coverage to increase from 16% to 24% after construction of a 484 square foot detached garage and move the maximum 20% allowed by code. All described in the application and plans on file.
Okay, there we go. Good evening.
Hi.
Could, just introduce yourselves, name and address. That'd be great.
So we're Jose Casado and Carla Casulo at 49 Brookside Drive.
Okay, great. So please proceed and let us know what you're trying to do.
Okay, I'm Kip Finley with Victory Hill Land Company. I'm the engineer for the project.
Okay, great.
So
could you give us your, excuse me, Mr. Finley, can you give us your address, please?
It's 868 Winslow Road, Churchville.
Okay, great. So one of you, please proceed.
This application is for relief from code section 205-2, which is a building lot coverage for the property. On that diagram, we had looked into 5 different options to find a way to have an additional bedroom and bathroom on the first floor of the house. And the best solution was to finish off the garage space, which necessitated having some type of other garage space on the property. We did 5 different options as far as a detached garage, attached next to the garage, attached at the back of the house. And I submitted a table with the application that showed the option on your screen now is the only one that only required 1 variance. Yeah, there's all those different options. The homeowners were very flexible for trying anything we could do, but the yard is kind of small. And that's the table that shows that we've analyzed all the different bulk standards to see which one was the least intrusive and required the least request for relief from the code. So the concept A is the one that we're in for, correct? And then that one you showed the map at the beginning.
Right.
For A, yes, correct. So in that case, we don't have to have any change to setbacks. We would have 5 feet to the eaves of the garage. The existing garage has the doors in the back of the garage, so there would be no change to the appearance of the house from the street. It has some windows in the garage. It will look the same when it's done. So the relief we're requesting is to allow a little bit greater percentage of rear lot coverage. Actually building coverage. In your code, there's the rear lot, rear portion of the lot, and then there's the entire lot. We're actually fine with the rear lot coverage of the backyard, but the overall for the property needs to increase a little.
Okay.
We're both here, or all three of us are here to answer any questions the board might have. I don't know there's much more to explain for you.
Okay. Just one quick thing. So would it be fair to say that since you're replacing a garage with a garage, there'd be no reason that any other storage or storage facilities or anything like that would be necessary?
No.
Oh, as far as another shed or something on the
Yes, or
property?
some other kind of accessory structure or something. Yeah.
No, we don't need that, no.
Okay, very good. Okay, questions by the board members? Anything?
I have one, Dennis.
Go
Kip,
ahead.
is that 5 foot from an overhang, or is that to the
Yeah.
edge of the garage?
Yeah, for Brighton, it is from the overhang.
Okay, so that is from the overhang. You'll be 5 feet from the overhang.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
Question. Doug Clapp, one of the board members.
Mhm.
And am I coming on, guys?
Yeah, go ahead. You're all set. then.
Okay. I saw the details of the options. I'm wondering if you could very briefly, in your own words, that either of you or either three, describe the problems with some of the other options and why this one's the best. I do understand it requires the least variances, but perhaps aesthetically or practically, what are your other reasons? Just very briefly, please.
Sure, yeah, whoever's driving, if you want to just flip through. Okay, for B, there was talk with a neighbor to the left about having, they have a similar situation, and there was talk about doing an attached garage with a firewall, but that really did not deal with everything, and it brings in lots more things for easements, and a zero lot line, which is very unusual. So for C, the next version, we looked into attaching to the back of the house, but once it's attached to the house, it starts to fall under the other setback requirements. And so that makes that tough for C, and I think D. Yes, that one still would be too close, and the house is very difficult to add on in that spot. It would require a flat roof, and so that wasn't very desirable, and it's hard to maneuver to get in. And then what is E? Very similar situation. It was just coming in from a different angle.
Yep.
So everything else really didn't work very well. The plain old 2-car detached garage seemed to be the best option.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Could one of you also speak to, are there just about the neighborhood and other structures such as this in the neighborhood area?
Oh, yes. Well, I drove up and down the street because it's very hard to look on Google Earth with all the trees. And this is something that's been done in quite a bit of the neighborhood. This house was built in 1935. They had different needs for cars, and they also it was very popular to have these backloaded garages that are very difficult to maneuver. So a lot of people have built garages that were more modern in the back corners.
And freestanding, right?
Yes.
Most of our neighborhood has detached garages.
A lot of people do. Our next door neighbors do. It's pretty common, especially on this street.
Okay, that's great.
I have just a couple quick questions or points. One is I see that you share a driveway with your next door neighbor. Have you spoken with them at all about building this garage, and are they in support?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
And my second question, or maybe point to make, is that it looks like you back up to the golf course.
Yes.
So although this variance is for building coverage on the lot, it's fair to say that there's a good amount of open space behind you, correct?
Yes,
Oh, yes.
yes, completely open.
Thanks.
Okay, other questions by the board? Okay, great. All right. Is there anyone on the call that would like to speak regarding this application?
See no hands.
Okay, very good. Then the public hearing is closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the record, application 4A0820 as postponed. Application 7A-01-20, application of Pierpont Visual Graphics Inc., agent, and Keating Boulevard Associates LLC, owner of property located at 1065 Senator Keating Boulevard, for a sign variance in section 207-32B4 to allow building face business identification sign to project 37 feet above grade in lieu of the maximum 20 feet allowed by code. I'll describe the application and plans on file.
Okay, who do we have speaking for RGH?
Terry Zappia with Pierpont Visual Graphics. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Just give us your address, sir, please.
We're located at 15 Elser Terrace in Rochester, New York.
Okay, very good. Go right ahead.
So basically, the Rochester Regional Health is taking over Westfall Surgery Center. And currently they have a sign, and the location is at 1065 Senator Keating Boulevard. There's a sign that's up there that's been there for, I don't know how many years, but RRH took over that surgery center. And basically we want to replace the copy that says Westfall Surgery Center, LLP 1065 with Rochester Regional Health 1065. It's higher than 20 feet. The sign that's up there now is about 40 feet to the top of the sign. Ours would be probably 37 feet, maybe just a little lower. But we want to keep it in that area just to cover any damage that's up there from, drilling the holes but basically in the same location of where the current one is now.
Yeah, just for a little clarification, I think one of the reasons we had to bring them in is when this building was built, I believe it was built in the mid to late 90s. We did not have a height restriction for signs. And since that time, we have put that height restriction for signs. So therefore, a pre-existing non-conforming sign came down. This one's going up. This one needs a variance.
Okay. All right, so, but you're pretty confident it's about even 3 feet shorter from the top of the mansard there?
Yeah, looking at the renderings, so what's there now, because we're only using 3 lines of copy. The
Right.
current one has 4 lines of copy, so basically just centered it kind of in the area that's there now.
Yeah, this looks a little more readable too, because it doesn't have all the chop ups in it that the other sign does.
You're right.
Okay, all right. Any other questions by the board members?
Is it going to be lit at all?
No, nope, it's gonna be non-illuminated. They're gonna be flat cut letters, similar to what's there now.
Great.
Any?
How does the height of the letters compare to what's there now?
The word Rochester is a little taller, but Regional Health and the 1065 are the same size as what's there now. They're 16-inch high letters at the 1065 and, the Surgery Center LLP, and yeah, but basically it's the same size.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak regarding this application?
I see no hands.
Okay, then the public hearing's closed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too.
You too.
Application 7A0220, application of Andrew Sundberg, owner of property located at 494 North Landing Road for renewal of a temporary local use permit pursuant to section 219-4 to allow for the sale of pizza, deli items, and fried foods in conjunction with a pre-existing non-conforming grocery business in an RLD residential district. All described in application and plans on file.
Okay. Mr. Sundberg is present.
Yes. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yep. Working? All right, good. So we're just back to get our temporary and revocable use permit.
Can you do your name and address for the record, Andy?
Oh yeah, Andrew Sundberg, 494 North Landing Road.
Okay, go ahead.
And we're just looking to get our temporary and revocable use permit reinstated or activated here for the next 2 years. We've had this property since 2007. We've done our best to upkeep it and hold it to the standards of the neighborhood. Not a whole lot's changing other than we did buy another building over off Mount Reed Boulevard. So we used to have some like trucks and stuff that we moved in and out of there. They're no longer going to be on site. So all that is, we're now operating somewhere else. So we're just strictly a neighborhood store again.
So you, oh, sorry.
Okay.
Hi, Judy.
Go ahead, Judy.
Okay, so you've really improved the site in a way by taking the trucks away.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it will help. Some of them, you know, we had larger trucks. We didn't always have them there, but they were there occasionally. Or for the most part, they were there. So now they won't be on site at all whatsoever.
Oh, okay, and you have not changed the business at all?
No, so we changed the name upon reopening. We were closed for a little while. So the new name now, we've rebranded it. It's Lena's on Landing.
Okay.
Very similar menu, similar layout, but.
Well, yeah, I wasn't so concerned about the change of your name, which is fine. More about the actual business, you know, with food items and process and so on. So there's no.
Oh yeah, no, that's exactly the same. Yep, okay. That has not changed.
Okay.
Good.
And Rick, no complaints from the neighborhood?
Not received any complaints.
Okay, great.
Say that again?
I have not received any complaints.
Okay, thank you.
Andy, is there any other improvements that you're planning for the site or any other maintenance or anything noteworthy?
Not right now. We just had the parking lot sealed and restriped, so that looks fresh. And other than that, no, just regular upkeep.
Okay. All right, very good. Any other questions by the board members, please?
Right, and you want this to go to January 2022, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Questions? Okay, very good. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak regarding this application?
See no hands?
Okay, then at this point, the public hearing is closed.
All right, thank you very much, guys.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
you're welcome.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Application 7A0320, application of Ignacio Franco, owner of property located at 37 Summit Drive for an area variance for section 207-2A to allow a front yard fence to be 4 feet height and incorporate a 5-foot-high driveway gate, where a maximum 3.5-foot-high fence is allowed by code. Also described on application and plans on file.
Okay. Who do we have speaking for this?
Unmute. Okay, thank you. Thank you for unmuting me, Rick. So good evening, everyone. My name is Ignacio Franco, and I'm the owner of the property at 37 Summit Drive. As you just heard, we would like to put a fence to our backyard. This backyard is considered a front yard because our house is at the corner of Summit Drive and Howland Drive. The reason why we would like to put a fence is because we have 2 little kids of 2 years old and 8 years old, and our house faces Howland Avenue, and Howland Avenue for our neighborhood is a street of relatively high traffic because it's inclined. It leads to Highland Drive. Cars accelerate as they go up. So we are always concerned, or sometimes even in panic, when we see our little kids missing their toys to Howland Avenue, and these toys roll all the way down to Highland Avenue. And we are always very concerned that they will just go after them and hit traffic on Howland Avenue. So as a consequence, we have not been able to enjoy our backyard in the way that most families that have backyards can. So we also are aware of the park-like setting of our neighborhood, and we considered this very carefully, and we opted for a style of fence that would be minimally impactful to the park-like setting. So we went for aluminum black see-through fence. It's 4 feet in high, such that it's about the same height as swimming pool fences. That will prevent our kids from going over the fence. And it will have a gate that is slightly higher just to complete an elegant look in the neighborhood. We consulted with all neighbors before applying. You can see the letters from the neighbors in our application. You can also see the picture of the fence and how it's expected to look like.
Okay, very good. Questions? Any questions by any of the board members? Looks pretty straightforward, so we appreciate the detail that you gave us, and that was very helpful.
Thank you so much.
Just one question.
Absolutely.
Ignacio, is the fence going to be 4 feet all the way around, or are you going to go up in height once you get to your rear yard area?
No, it will be all 4 feet.
So the entire, you'd enclose the entire area with the same 4 foot high fence?
Exactly, exactly. The only part that is slightly higher is the gate, and it's just to make it look nice. No?
Okay, very good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, any other questions by the board? Okay.
Yes, Doug Clatton, board member. I'm curious about the driveway gate. Do you have to stop in the street to open that gate, then pull in and stop again and close it?
So first of all, the gate, even if it opens toward the streets, it will never go toward the street level. This is because the gate will be located at the property line, which is beyond a sidewalk that is existing. So even if opened on that side completely, it will never hit the street. Now, what we plan to do is to have this gate double hinged, such that we have the opportunity to open it toward the inside and also toward the outside, depending on the current needs. But there is no sidewalk exactly where this is, and even fully open, it will not hit the street.
So you would need to stop briefly in the street to open that gate and then pull in?
You will need to stop briefly. You mean to enter the house?
Correct.
So the way that we're doing it is that I can park slightly my car in my driveway. I think the space that I have between the street and the fence is enough to park my car, so I will not be blocking traffic. And then I will have to step down, open the gate, and come in. We also have designed it in such a way that if it's important and there are funds available, we can put an electric operator to this gate in the future. No, this is already designed in this way.
Right. Plus, you can also
thank you.
You can also swing the gate in if you wanted to also.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
We can also swing the gate in.
All right, very good. All right, other questions? Okay, very good. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak regarding this application?
See no hands.
Okay. Then the public hearing is closed.
Application 7A0420, application of Richard Arnia and Carolyn Ilscher-Stutz, owner of property located at 60 Howland Road, for an area variance from sections 203-2.1B3 and 203-9A4, allow for the construction of a 960 square foot detached garage to move the maximum 600 square foot detached garage allowed by code. All described in the application and plans on file. And also let me read the next one. Application 7A0520, same applicant, same address, for an area variance from section 207-16A4 to allow for a second driveway access to the property where only one is allowed by code. I'll describe an application and plans on file.
Okay. Who do we have speaking on behalf of this application?
I think it is.
Hi, this is Blake Held. I know Richard Arney is available to speak as well. I don't see him though. So I can certainly start. Basically, the garage is...
Sir, can you just give us your name, full name and address, please?
Yes, I apologize. This is Blake Held. I'm the architect for the project. I live at 13 Maplewood Avenue, Honeoye Falls, 14472.
Okay, great. Go right ahead.
The purpose of the garage is to allow parking and also some hobby space for Richard and Carolyn. And the idea was the garage would match in character with the house itself, but not be overwhelming in size or anything else. So it's actually slid down the hill a little bit from the house. And the idea also was to have access be between the two trees that are large and existing there, so as to kind of hide it behind the trees, but also not disrupt them, which is for a gravel drive and hence that curb cut request. We've held it off that 22 feet. And if you count the overhang, then it's about 20 feet off of the property line on the side and 50 foot, 48 foot setback from the street line. And then roughly 55 feet from the house, as you see there.
Okay. Can you describe a little bit what the use of this building shall be?
Can you hear me?
Oh, there he is, Richard.
I was apparently just unmuted. I gave a nice little speech. I'm sorry. I'm sorry nobody heard it. Yeah. Good evening. The usage will be for.
Sir, can you just please give us your name and address, please, just for the record? When you're
yes,
speaking.
I will. For the second time, Richard Arney, 60 Howland Road, and co-owner of the house with Carolyn Ilscher-Stutz.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
So we're proposing to build this outbuilding for a combination use of garage and hobby studio for our ceramics. So we are currently, I've been for the past 17 years located in the Hungerford building, and I have a large studio down there, and I'm reaching an age when I wish to slow down and downsize. And so we're looking for a little space on our property as well as a garage. This would be a building that could be convertible to garage exclusively in the future. So multi-purpose, if you will.
To what level of ceramic activity would occur in this building?
Well, there wouldn't be a showroom, there wouldn't be a gallery, we wouldn't be holding sales. It would strictly be for our own production of our own work. We're both full-time artists at this point, looking to become very part-time.
Okay. All right, the board members, questions, please.
Would there be a kiln as part of your ceramics work? Can you describe the process a little bit as far as noise, fumes, anything that neighbors might notice?
Right. Well, there will be electric kilns for sure, possibly a gas kiln. There would not be noise. Making ceramics is a quiet business. We don't have any loud or obnoxious machinery. The kilns would be fully vented outside. I mean, I've had NIOSH and the EPA study the buoyant plume of my kilns in the past, and they've been ruled perfectly fine being in a residential neighborhood.
Okay.
And yes.
Can I ask you? Oh, go ahead.
Hold on. Who would like to ask a question? You got to raise your hands, guys. We can't have everybody talking. Okay, Judy, go ahead.
Yes. How did you decide on this location versus the other side of your home?
Well, topography has a lot to do with it. This is a pretty level area. We didn't really want to disrupt the backyard with a long driveway. There's some very big trees in the back. If you happen to drive by, you probably noticed it's pretty park-like in the back there. We really don't want to disturb that vista, if you will. There are some areas in the upper left-hand corner as you're looking at our map there that can get wet during the winter thaw. And we wanted to locate this in a drier area and just make it look like it belonged to be a part of, part and parcel of the property with the house.
Okay. Other questions?
Yes, it's Doug Clapp, board member. And this might be a question for Rick as much as for the applicant. I'm wondering if the degree of business brings us to the level of considering a use variance, or is this a work at home? And I'm totally supportive of artists working at home. I'm just raising the question so we don't miss anything or get in any trouble.
Well, Doug, it gets a little interesting. You can have a studio for an artist in your home. It's a permitted home occupation. So if they were performing their craft inside their home, they could produce their product, take it and sell it. When you move to an accessory structure, it gets a little more interesting. It really should be for hobby purposes only. I know there's a number of people who do woodworking in their garage, do other types of activities in their garage. Basically, what we got to make sure is that this structure is a garage. It can store a vehicle. If they were to come in and not show an overhead garage door, then definitely this would not be considered a garage. So that's one of the key factors. Again, it's a little bit of a gray area when you start doing hobbies in your garage.
Well, how did you analyze this when you received the application, Rick?
Basically as a hobby.
Okay.
It's going to be a detached garage where they can store their vehicles, and then as an area where they can have a hobby.
Okay.
Portion of that structure.
Okay.
Now, granted, it is in a large garage. It's well over the 600 square feet that we permit for a garage.
Correct.
Okay, that addresses my concern. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You're right. You mentioned in your application and in some of your remarks, the equipment that you use, kilns and et cetera. Is it safe to say that those types of equipment based on their size and their use would be inappropriate to put inside of a traditional home?
I wouldn't want to put one inside a home. I know there are people that put them in basements and garages, but I've always erred on the side of caution in the past. So, plus we have a small home. It's just 1,000 square feet. We don't have a lot of room for doing that kind of a thing in the house. The electric kilns are small. They're maybe 30 inches in diameter by about 3 feet tall, and they, as long as they're properly installed, they're UL rated. They operate just fine.
What kind of utilities will be in this garage building? I noticed there's a utility sink, so there's obviously plumbing. Is it heated?
Yeah, my intention is, per getting the bids in, if this is approved, is to put radiant floor heat in. It's always been my dream. I've never been able to do it in any of my other studios. There will be a utility sink. Well, that will be the extent of the plumbing. That will be really the only utility other than lighting.
Okay. All right. Other questions by the board?
I just,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
again, this is Member Wright. Just one other question. You know, would you say it's fair to say that there are several other properties or some other properties in that neighborhood where there are larger detached garages as well?
Definitely. I not measured the square footage. We have a outbuilding in the property behind us that was used as a plumbing supply business at one point. The property across the street from theirs, I know that the resident got a variance to build a larger garage some years ago. So there are lots of outbuildings. There's a wood carving studio across the street from us in an outbuilding. I would say that this would not alter the character of the neighborhood. And with one exception, we have some strong support from all of our neighbors. And I don't know if the one exception has contacted you. I've tried to talk with her, but she has not answered any of my calls.
We have received a letter from your neighbor at 80 Howland Drive. Is that the
Rick, you got to speak up a little, Rick.
We have received a letter from your neighbor at 80 Howland Drive.
That would be Julie.
Yes. Is that who
Yeah.
you tried to contact?
Yeah, she has concerns about that the building will permanently alter the flow of drainage and will flood her property. All I can say to that is that that area of the property is essentially a bowl. There are low areas that rise as they come towards the street, and this building will not add or subtract any moisture that would have run into the low areas in the past and has not ever flooded her property.
Okay. And also you're doing a gravel driveway, correct?
Right. I'd rather keep it low impact and do it gravel if I could.
Okay. That's
Richard,
helpful on drainage.
And Richard, that area that's outside your property, like between the property line and the street line in the town right away, that's a pretty good increase in grade right through there. Kind of like a ridge right along the front of the property. Have you talked to anybody, a driveway company or anybody, on how they're going to be able to fashion your driveway through there?
What I would hope to do, no, I haven't talked with the driveway company, but I would hope to perhaps scrape that berm down a little bit without disturbing any of the tree roots. And, you know, the vehicles can handle that berm, but I'd rather it be a little less aggressive. So, and it might necessitate taking off a couple of limbs, of the lower hanging limbs of the trees there.
I do have some concern because most of that isn't, I would believe that most of that area is in the town right away.
Is that the right of way?
Yeah, I would suggest that if this variance is approved, that you definitely talk to Tim Anderson with the Highway Department before you go too much further.
Sure.
Also, just a question, there is no existing garage with the current house, correct?
Not at this point,
Correct.
no. There was one. It's been turned into an in-law suite for my partner's son.
Was there any thought about removing the existing driveway? Then you would need this variance.
No, just because at this point there are 3 cars, and there will always be, you know, at least one car out on that driveway.
Okay. All right. Other questions, please? Okay. Is there anyone in the Zoom who would like to speak regarding this application?
See no hands.
Okay, then this public hearing is closed. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Application 7A0620, application of Shira Cahill, SWBR, agent, in the Summit of Brighton, owner of property located at 2000 Summit Circle Drive for an area variance for sections 203-2.1B2 and 203-30A1 to allow a pergola structure to be 400 square feet in size and move a maximum 250 square feet in height. Also have an application and plans on file.
Okay, who do we have speaking for the summit?
Jeff, could you let Shira in? There we go.
All set?
I think so.
Okay. How about your name and address, please?
Okay. My name is Shira Cahill from SWBR, 387 East Main Street. Currently, working from home, 1260 Park Ave. I'm representing Jewish Senior Life, requesting an area variance for a 400 square foot pergola structure proposed in the dining and lifestyle expansion project at the summit. And my cat is in heat, so I am sorry.
Okay.
It's real. It's all my meetings, and I was hoping it wouldn't be that bad right now, but it is. Okay, so the project is on the Jewish Senior Life campus, which is off of South Winton Road. The internal address is 200 Summit Circle Drive. It's northwest of the main Jewish home tower. It's south of Walk Manor, which is the memory care community, and it's east of Meridian Center Park. The purpose of the project is to provide outdoor amenity space and encourage elders to spend time outdoors. Currently, there's not a lot of outdoor program space on the campus. They're just noticing, national, international trends and research showing that, even small amounts of outdoor time can provide a lot of health benefits for seniors, including decreased falls, faster healing time after medical procedures, better sleeping patterns, and now, in addition, in the post-COVID world, industry leaders are really talking about moving program outside in senior communities. So I think that we're going to see a lot of push towards increased program space outdoors because of the safety for residents, visitors, and staff. We're proposing quickly a concrete patio, a wood deck, a regraded lawn area for fitness activities, outdoor furniture, a fire pit, and outdoor kitchen. 3 new doors that replace current window locations, modest outdoor lighting, and 2 pergola structures. One is 215 square feet, and then there's one octagonal shaped pergola with a fabric awning that measures 400 square feet, 150 square feet larger than the allowable 250, so a 60% variance. The project is an inwardly focused courtyard. It is not visible from the street or from the adjacent park. There are no residential units adjacent to the courtyard. The pergola structure will use the same aesthetic language as the existing buildings. It has protruding building joists that have a certain profile that we're going to mimic in the pergola structures. There are also several pergolas already on the Jewish Senior Life campus. There's 2 in each of the courtyards for the 3 greenhouse style apartments. And there's also 1 gazebo to the southeast of the Jewish home tower. The reason why we're requesting the variance is we had focus groups with residents when we were planning for this project. And one of the main concerns that they brought up many times and frequently was comfort and their ability to be outside and be comfortable. They wanted shade. They basically wanted another room outside. Originally, we had proposed a very large shade structure, but we started to have concerns that it wouldn't let enough light in during the winter months and that it also wasn't appropriate for the scale of the project. And so we pared it down to using shade umbrellas, a cooking pergola, and then this fabric shade awning over one of the dining areas that's outside of the kosher dining room in order to encourage elders to spend time outside and foster the use of the space. So to conclude, a pergola of 250 square feet in this application doesn't meet our program requirements or the needs for the senior community. And so to ensure the physical comfort of the residents and foster the use of the outdoor space for the mental and physical health benefits that they'll provide, we're requesting the area variance for a 400 square foot pergola. Thank you.
Okay, so I just have one quick question. You talked about modest lighting. Could you be a little more forthright than that, please?
Sure. We are replacing building sconces that are there in kind. There are, I think if I can have this written down in this notes for this
Yeah, I
meeting, but I
see
think there's
some
4.
notes there, but right.
Yeah, there's 4 that we're replacing in kind, and then there's 5 that we are adding. All punctuated on the building where existing ones are. And the only other lighting that we're adding is overhead bistro lighting. It's dark sky compliant. The sconces are 3,000 K. The overhead bistro lighting is 2,700. And they will only, all the lighting will only be used while the space is in use, which will, unless there is a special event, be around 8 p.m. when people stop using the space.
Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, questions by board members? Any questions? Pretty straightforward.
This is Doug Clapp, board member, and it does seem fairly straightforward. I'm wondering, to answer the question of if there were any other options that could have been considered to provide a similar benefit to the residents.
We did. I mean, we went back and forth a number of times. As I mentioned, we were originally looking at, well, after our focus groups, we ended up with this huge awning that was going to be coming off of the building and covering almost the entire seating area, because people just kept on mentioning, how are we going to be comfortable outside? It's too hot outside. We don't like to be outside, you know, and thinking, well, it'll be good for you to spend some time outside. So, anyhow, so we, in order to appease people and to make them feel that they would be physically comfortable, we proposed, you know, a solid shade structure that would give real shade and wouldn't have the holes that, you know, umbrellas would provide. Also, a solid shade structure will shade the ground more profoundly, which will also lower the heat island effect of the space. And so we thought, you know, as much as we can get out there. So the minimum we wanted to do was at least the main dining area, which is the space that we are covering in the octagonal space. The other areas are semi-dining, semi-lounge. The other dining you can see is up against the building. And since it is a north-facing building, those tables are going to get, you know, more shade from the bulk of the building for the majority of the time. But the ones that are a little bit farther off, we wanted to give them, you know, a shade structure that was separate from just the building shade.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Okay, other questions? Okay. Is there anyone in the Zoom conference that would like to speak regarding this application? Okay.
See no hands.
Nothing? Okay. All right, so the public hearing is closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, would the board members like 5 minutes here?
Please.
Okay. So it's 8:28, so 5 minutes, please. Okay. I think Rick's here. Everybody else, we can get ourselves started here. Just a couple little ground rule things. You know, usually when someone is making some findings or facts and doing their stuff, sometimes we tend to chime in and say, well, how about this and how about that? So if we could refrain from that tonight. So if Dennis, Jennifer, somebody's making an application, let them finish it. And if you want to offer something to add or whatever, then please let them finish first. Otherwise, it's going to be a little chopped up and hard to follow. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, and just please remember that we are still live on YouTube and this is being recorded, so proper decorum, please.
Okay. So the first application we're going to deal with then is 4A01, which is the Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road. So the first part is Doug has that, and that's the side setback for the addition. Go ahead, Doug. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Is there anybody have any concerns about it?
Okay.
Concerns about this?
I have none.
No.
Okay, Doug.
Just one quick thing, Doug, before you go into it. I just want to let you guys know if there is an application you need to see again, just let us know and Jeff will bring it up on the screen if there's something that you have to discuss. Okay.
All righty. All right, Doug, go ahead, please.
Okay. I move that application 4A0120. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Now my cat showed up. Okay, I move that application 4A0120 be approved based on the following findings of fact. 1, the property is located in a light industrial zone, and the variance will have no adverse impact on the character of the neighborhood or surrounding properties, or on physical or environmental conditions. 2, the location of the existing buildings on the property make it impossible for the owner to construct a building addition that adequately meets business needs without the requested variance. 3, the requested variance of a 48-foot setback where 50 feet is required is the minimum necessary to meet the owner's needs. 4, additional interior space is needed to accommodate business needs and pre-existing structures on the and fit with existing structures on the property. Conditions: a fence shall be constructed and landscaping installed to screen the new construction from the street. And 2, all necessary permits shall be obtained. That's it.
Can we just add the standard condition that this variance applies only to the addition as proposed and plan submitted?
Yes.
So that would be condition number 3, and again, for the stenographer, Condition number 3 is that the variance applies only to the addition as per plan submitted and testimony given.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Well, real quick, did they say that they were going to put up fencing? I might have missed it. I just didn't have it.
Yes, they did.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
it's
perfect.
part of the plan.
Yeah, part of the storage yards.
Do I have a second? Judy with the second.
Yes.
The motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Clapp.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, so the next part of the same property excuse me, relates to the outdoor storage on both sides of the property. Any issues with this? No? Okay. All right, here we go. I move we approve application 4A0220 based on the following findings of fact. 1, no change in the character of the neighborhood will result from the approval of this request, since it is a light commercial area and fencing will improve the visual impact. 2, storage cannot be placed in the rear yard since there is a 100-foot buffer at the rear property. 3, no other
Dennis,
alternative. Yes,
Can you just add in there 100-foot buffer in regards to a New York State wetland?
yeah, okay, so a 100-foot buffer, which is a New York State wetland requirement at the rear lot.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 3, no other alternative can meet the needs of the applicant due to the restrictions on the property. And 4, the visual impact of the storage areas will be mitigated by the fence installation and landscaping to shelter the equipment stored. Conditions. This variance is based on the testimony given and plans submitted specifically as to the location and size of the fence installation. 2, no storage shall be allowed outside the fenced area. And 3, all necessary permits shall be obtained.
Can you just repeat number 1 for me, please?
Yes. This variance is conditioned on the testimony given and plans submitted specifically as to the location and size of the fence installation.
Want to say specifically to the fence and the storage area, or?
Well, the fence encapsulates the storage area, so
Okay.
I'll second.
thank you.
Sorry, who hit that second?
I did.
Andrea, thank you.
Drew?
The motion is to approve with conditions. Mr. Clapp,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Mike.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
You ready, Rick?
Yep. Application 403.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was waiting for you to read it out loud. All right. Okay, so yes, we're doing University of Rochester related to the tents, the repeat tent installations. So, is there anybody have any concerns about this?
No.
Okay.
As in approve it, yes.
Okay, Kathy?
All
go
right.
ahead.
I move to approve application 4A-03-20 based on the following findings of fact. 1, granting of the permit will not negatively impact the health, safety, or general welfare of the community, and it may have a positive impact as the applicant is seeking to provide protection from inclement weather. 2, if the permit is granted, there will be no effect on available facilities from the increased population and attendance at the events, as the events are usually less than 1 day, and the events for which the tent will be used will not include music or lighting, and the applicant has stated that there is ample parking. 3, granting of the request will not result in a change in character of the neighborhood or be detrimental to surrounding properties, as the location of the proposed tent and or tents is within the university's campus. Conditions: 1, the application is granted as per the application submitted and testimony given for the remainder of 2020 and year 2021 for up to 3 events per year. 2, all necessary fire marshal permits shall be obtained.
Okay.
Judy has a
I'll
question.
second. Oh,
Okay, Judy?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright,
yes.
Mr. Clapp,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
and Ms. Schmidt.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, our next one is 119 Westland. That's where we're talking about the slight setback change.
The 1.5 inches.
1.2.
Yes, the sliver. Okay, well, it sounds like, you know, the building's twisted a little bit there, and so.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any concerns about this?
No.
I'm surprised they even came before us, to be honest. I might not have measured correctly.
Okay.
Well, Andrea, when it showed up, I'll give the applicant credit. They were honest with us, and once it's a non-conforming situation, and it was so close to the lot line. I felt it was necessary for at least a neighbor to have the opportunity.
Rick, did you go there with your personal 8th grade ruler and check it, or?
No, I just went by what the applicant showed me, so.
But no, I definitely appreciate the honesty in coming forward and
Yes.
putting in the application.
Right.
Yes.
And did you do this mostly too, I mean, in case of resale, so there wouldn't be a problem?
Well,
Is it
really, I did it so that the neighbor had the opportunity that, I mean, this is 3 feet off the property line now, and they're expanding
Yeah.
that building, there's quite a bit of expansion going right down that property line, right along the side of the house next to it. So
Okay.
I just thought it would give everybody an opportunity to take a
Okay.
look at it.
Okay, all right, is there any concerns then?
No.
Okay, then Judy, go ahead, please.
I move we approve application 4A0420 based on the following findings of fact. 1, this variance of only 1.2 inches into an existing 3.5-foot side setback is minuscule, even though a 7.5-foot side setback is required. 2, the requested variance is due to the fact that the home was built with a non-conforming side setback and slightly askew from the property line, thus aligning the addition to the existing home was difficult. 3, there will be no change to the character of the neighborhood, as this variance will not be noticeable in any way to a passerby. Conditions: 1, this variance only applies to the 1.2 reduction on the side setback of a pre-existing 3.5-foot side setback. 2, all necessary planning and building approvals must be granted.
Okay,
Second.
Jennifer?
Motion is to approve with conditions. Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Mr. Clapp,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright. Schmidt,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, very good. Okay, the next application is 2700 Elmwood. I think on this one, let's just go around the horn here and see what everyone thinks about this. So let's start with Judy. What do you think about the 3 parking spaces?
I have a problem. I thank you, Rick, for bringing up the situation 8 years ago, even though he felt, oh, well, 8 years ago, things change. But I am concerned. I just don't think it's nearly as safe a situation as he said the other side of the plaza is. There to me is a very big difference. And the other thing is we've had things where businesses have grown and we've seen people sort of shoehorned in to fit in an existing square footage. And then this with needing more parking to me is a bit problematic.
Okay. All right. How about Andrea?
Sorry, I thought I lost my internet connection for a minute. It looks to me like the entrance into that plaza is obviously wider than the entrance into this building. But I don't see a huge difference in, you know, the turn in, turn out safety from this one and the neighboring property. You know, I was a little bit concerned about, you know, I don't like putting asphalt where landscaping should be, but if they're not able to do anything anyway with that property, I don't have a problem with it. I think it certainly fits in with the character of the neighborhood. I don't think anybody will notice it. The width of the drive aisle is different, but that's my 2 cents.
Okay. All right. How about Jen? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would have a harder time with it if I felt that it was a property that was open to the public with traffic coming and going and coming and going all day. Knowing that it is for office employees who are likely going to park at the beginning of the day and leave at the end of the day, I think that minimizes the danger. And being that it's overflow parking, maybe even less so. I agree that it's close to the sidewalk, but seeing the other side of it where it's not much different than what's in the parking lot next door, and is not out of keeping with the neighborhood, so I don't really have a problem with it.
Okay. All right. How about Kathleen?
And I don't know if it's appropriate because I generally don't have a problem with it, but I really understand Judy's point of having that one space so close to the road and to where children are crossing all the time because of coming and going. And so I don't know if it's appropriate to say that you can build 2 of the 3 and leave that one space, but that would give me more comfort to have that one remain green or or available for kids.
Okay. All right, Doug?
That's just a really difficult location, I think. And I'm pretty mixed feelings. I'm inclined to say yes, to approve it, but I wonder if there's any kind of condition. It just occurred to me now, if, for example, the dental patients who are in and out might have designated spaces near the entrance, and that those spaces, the new spaces, would be primarily occupied by either the medical staff or office staff who would not be coming in and out. I don't see people backing out of those spaces into Elmwood. They're often back up and slow there anyhow, that I don't really think it's a huge problem. So I'm inclined to approve it.
Okay. All right.
Could there be a condition on those spaces? Is that at all feasible? Make any sense?
Like what?
Well, I thought that we could basically put a condition. Now, again, how enforceable this would be, I don't know, but we could make them sign those parking spaces that it's for employees only. So the dentist office with their clients coming and going most likely wouldn't pull into an employee-only parking space. An employee would there, and they'd be there basically all day, just so that you would reduce some of that traffic right there at the throat. I have some concern personally of that, those cars coming in and out and backing out right there. I think it's pretty close, and I think if people come down Elmwood Avenue, they know they're turning there, they start to make the turn off of Elmwood Avenue, they either got to slam on their brakes because somebody's pulling out of that space and then there's somebody behind them, or you know, they. I just see it as a bottleneck right there.
Okay. All right.
So I'm trying to work with them in terms of how can we provide them the 3 spaces, but let's not make them being used, like you could see some of the dentists, the clients coming in and out of there, you know, once every hour, they've got cars going in and out because their appointment's over.
Okay. All right. So here's the other side of that discussion. So as you know, those 3 spaces where they're proposed are the farthest from the entrance to the building.
Right.
So from a property manager perspective, the thought that active customers would probably use those, the only time it's going to happen is if those are the only 3 spaces left.
Right.
Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, as far as putting cars there in the morning or whatever, I'm not sure why we would want to encourage those spaces to be used. If they're really overflow parking, then it really looks better not to have a car right there at the street all day long when it's not really necessary, when there may be 5 other spaces in the whole lot. The other thing that strikes me a little bit is that nobody knows with what's happened with COVID-19 and office space and whatnot as far as how employers and employees are going to behave going forward. So it's just an interesting timing to suggest that, you know, we absolutely need these spaces when, you know, it may really not be as big of an issue as someone might think.
Judy? May I speak?
Sure.
Okay. Dennis, you raise a very good point. Yes, their lease might be up, but honestly, a lot of people really might be working more from home. And I would think an insurance agency certainly would allow people to be working at home. And for those of you who say that it's not going to change the character of the neighborhood, this is part of my neighborhood. Okay. And we worked really, really, really hard when that building was put up. Though it looks like a very large house, we really worked hard to make it look residential in character, because if you have something that's commercial and then you try to, you know, keep a neighborhood surviving that goes further down, property can deteriorate. So even though the grass that's there is closer to the big plaza than it is to the neighboring residents, it still has an impact. So I would hope that that would be kept in mind. But I think that we have a legitimate concern saying that maybe this won't be necessary, seeing as how people might not be coming back to work in an office, and they should wait. I think they could always put it in. They really, I mean, the insurance business doesn't really know how many of their people will actually be coming back.
Judy, in fairness, we didn't ask that question. Maybe they do know. I mean, but my point is just that I think going forward, you're just seeing a little cultural shift here, and you know, whether we all think it will or how much it will or is a little bit up in the air. But okay, so
Can
yes,
I just add just a little history?
Yep.
You know, back when they got the original use variance for professional office only. One of the things that they looked at, the boards, not the applicant, was that this isn't a residential district. It's the beginning of the residential district going down Elmwood. And they didn't want parking in the front yard.
Right.
Now, granted, some of that side parking does encroach into the front yard area, but it doesn't go to the front yard like the plaza next door. So that was one of the things that as they were approving that use variance back in the 1980s, they wanted to keep some means of residential aspect to it. Now, granted, that area that has the grass there is extremely difficult to maintain. And we talked, you know, I had talked to Joe in the past about that he can't dig up underneath it because RG&E won't let them.
Right.
There are the vaults there for the electrical there.
Right.
So really all it is about 4 or 5 inches of dirt on pavement. And that's why the grass always burns out and dies there. You just can't keep it alive. So there is a maintenance issue there also.
Okay. All right. So let's just kind of go around and see where everybody is from a voting perspective then. Okay. So Judy?
No.
Okay. Kathleen?
I will vote yes, but I would like to have restrictions put in somehow.
Okay. Well, we can talk about conditions, right? Doug?
I would also vote yes, but I understand the difficulty with conditions. I think some conditions need to be there.
Okay. Jen?
I concur with that. I would vote yes.
Okay. Doug?
You already got me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Andrea?
I vote yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would be okay with some conditions because I think as a practical matter, they're not really going to be used that much. Okay.
Can I run through 2 conditions I am drafting and get some input before I read the
Yes, please.
approval? So in the event that the spaces become regularly used on a daily basis, these 3 parking spaces shall be designated as employee only for either the dentist office or the insurance company or both.
Yeah, so we're basically not saying they have to be used that way, but if it becomes the case that all the other spaces are used, then.
Yeah, I would like to either make it a yes or no on that, Andrea, only because I don't know how we go out there and decide whether or not they're irregularly used or not.
Yeah, I was just trying to reach a compromise between Dennis's concern about having them parked regularly if there's empty spaces. So if the board just wants them.
I guess my feeling is that, and I hear what Dennis is saying, but if there's going to be cars parked there, then does it matter if they're there all day or if they're there 4 hours out of the day or whatever it is? There's going to be cars parked there.
Would it? How do I raise my hand?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Coach.
Could we have them designate spaces by the entrance for the use of dental patients?
That doesn't make any sense from a property management. Doug.
Okay, just
you can't
then I would maybe I would go without conditions then.
Well, let me just go, Dennis. Do we have to, from a property maintenance standpoint, do we really care?
Well, I think it's just a practical matter.
Yeah, but it's
Rick,
up
to
to
say that customers should park there doesn't make any sense. It's the farthest place for
but I'm not saying customers should park there. What I'm saying is employees should park there, and they should walk to.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I think that the issue here is just it's a little bit of a debate, I guess. But the bottom line is that I asked them, is this going to be overflow parking? Answer was yes. Okay, so practically, it sounds like they're going to be the last spaces used. So do we have a problem with that, or do we want to insist that we, place cars there? Because that's not what he asked.
I don't know if we are placing cars there. We're just saying that you if you're not an employee, you can't park there. Employees don't have to park there. They still might park close to the door. But if they get into a situation where clients don't have a place to park, then those employees are gonna have to park in those spaces.
Of course. Now that's him. His office is right there. He's responsible for the building. He's responsible for the parking. So I would presume that he would police it if it's necessary to be policed. So Andrea, there's not really a right answer here because as you know, being a property manager, it's kind of a tricky little issue here. So it's a question of what do we believe the use of these parking spaces are really going to be? Because I think it sounds like we all agree that, that they're not the most desirable place to have cars backing in and out during the whole day.
Yeah. So I think that poll the members, would we rather have a restriction that they're employee only, meaning there's a higher chance that cars will be parked there regularly, or would we rather roll the dice and hope that cars almost never park there? I think it's up to the group as a whole whether
Yes.
we'd rather.
Well, we have to agree on the condition if people are going to vote for it. Sure. Okay. So okay. Well, so there's really 2 sort of choices then, I think, is, do we make them employee only, or do we just roll the dice and suggest let's see how people actually behave and what they use those spaces for? What do you think, Kathleen?
I think I would go for employee only because I think when you're new to a space, you kind of just pull into a building and you find the first available parking space and then realize that the entrance is behind the building. So anyway, it would seem like you would have just in and out if it was employee only.
Okay. Doug?
I'm okay either way.
Okay, Jen?
I'm probably okay either way, but I see your point that if this is truly overflow parking, people aren't going to park there unless they really have to. And it would go more to Judy's point of keeping it looking like there's not, it's more of a residential district, there's not parking in the front yard if there weren't cars always there. So I lean a little bit more towards let's not sign it, let's let it be overflow parking, but I would be fine either way, honestly.
Thank you.
Okay, Judy, I think we know what you think, yes?
Right. I could kick myself because I never asked, really, is there a day when there's absolutely no parking space left in the back? None of us really thought about that. We really, unless Rick knows, but we have no proof.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I think
yeah, and I'm sorry. The other thing is too that I never asked, which I probably should have, is why he has to have his office there. Although he might
he owns the building, Judy. I don't think.
I know, but
it's just that's not a reasonable question. Okay, but anyway, all right. So who else? Who did I miss here? Everybody's chirped in.
Yeah, just you.
yeah. I would prefer that it wasn't employee only, for the reasons I stated. But. Andrea, what do you think?
Your motion, make it however you want.
That's right. It's you're the hurrah here.
I think you have the votes either way. So you make the motion, I think you'll have the votes. So it's up to you, really.
I'll leave it out. I liked my if then one, but I understand that that's almost impossible to please, or for a bureaucratic comfort.
All right.
So I'll leave it. The second one is a shrubbery shall be planted to separate the parking spaces on the adjacent property from this property.
So extend them. There are a couple there, but these.
Yeah, I get a little worried. I mean, I like that condition. Don't get me wrong. I get a little worried that nothing's going to grow there. First of all, we have the same issue with the grass. That pavement area underneath that grass area is got to be pavement. Now I know I think there's a little strip of grass between the two properties, if I remember right. I don't know how far that grass goes all the way to the sidewalk or not. There might be minimal. I'm thinking, I don't know if we could put some other type of barrier there, maybe a nice fence or something. I don't know if that's anything or not. I don't know if that's proper or not.
You also got to be careful of the sight lines there of pulling in and out of both properties. I don't think a fence would be a good idea.
Well, I think a lower fence would be better than arborvitae growing there.
Yeah, I don't even know if you need something as tall as an arborvitae. I think the point was just to try to define it a little bit, but it's not to hide something, because you're not going to hide anything there, right?
No, you're not.
But certainly not to have people pulling from those parking spaces into the parking lot at 12 Corners.
I think there is some buffer there. I think there's some grass strip there or something.
Yeah, it's a little something there. I don't remember.
There's like at least 8 feet of grass in between where these parking spaces will be.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We might be kind of overthinking it, trying to figure out what's the best thing, because in the wintertime they push snow there. There's salt. I don't know.
Right.
Are there any conditions that we want then on these parking spaces? If we don't want extending the shrubbery and we don't want employee only?
I don't think so.
You mentioned a point though about snow storage. It's easier to put it there, and that could really be bad for line of sight.
That comes up to kind of Dennis's point. If those places don't get used, and that becomes a dumping ground for snow. Now it might already. I don't know, because they might push snow there already.
What he said. Yeah.
Oh.
I think we could stay out of
we could be specific and say you can't push snow there. Period.
Yeah, well, obviously it would be kind of pointless to build parking spaces and then fill them with snow storage. I mean, it doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, but around here, not everybody digs out their properties.
I know, but I don't know what kind of condition you could really put on it.
We can just say that snow storage should be to the back of the property or something like that.
Okay, that's fine. I think we're overthinking it a bit, but that's fine.
I'm just saying you could. I'm not saying you have.
No, that's okay. That's not harmful to say that he can't put snow storage there. That's fine.
The snow shall not be stored on these 3 parking spaces.
Yeah, that's fine. Could be elsewhere.
Right, if there's no other condition, I'll go ahead and read the
Okay, go
approval.
ahead, please.
I move to approve application 4A-06-20, etc., based on the following findings of fact. Number one, the granting of the requested variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to nearby properties. The property is immediately adjacent to a similarly situated property with parking located up to the street line, and the remainder of the parking on this property is located within of the side lot line. Thus, this change will not appear out of the ordinary to passersby. Number two, the requested variance is not substantial given the aforementioned neighboring property and the current property layout. Further, the location of the proposed additional parking is unsuitable for landscaping due to RG&E restrictions over gas lines and valves. Number three, the benefits sought by the applicant cannot reasonably be achieved by any other method. There are no other meaningful locations on site to increase parking that would not require a variance. Number four, there is no evidence that the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. Conditions. Number one, the variance granted herein applies only to the location of additional parking spaces described in and in the location as depicted on the application and in the testimony given. Number two, snow shall not be stored on these 3 additional parking spaces. Number three, all necessary permits must be obtained.
Very good. We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
No.
Mike,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Ms. Wright. Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay. Our next one is the Brookside Drive situation with the detached garage. Does anyone have any concerns about it? They certainly spent the money to have that architect look at all the various options, which I thought was pretty nice. So it seems like the character of the neighborhood, it works. Yeah. Okay, Doug.
Right. Get to the right one. Yes, just want to make sure I'm reading the right one.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. 20. I move approval of application 4A0720 based on the following findings of fact. One, the variance will not result in a change of the character of the neighborhood, as numerous other properties in the neighborhood have detached garages. Two,
Just, can I just, it's not so much that they need a variance for the detached garage, they need a variance for coverage due to the detached garage.
Yeah.
If they added, a lot of those options that they showed would have required the same coverage variance, because it's the amount of building that's on the lot, not the detached garage per se.
Maybe we better, Doug, to, I think anecdotally that's fine to say about the other garages, but I think the issue is really that maybe that the garage is the minimal size to, because again.
Yeah, to give them to meet the applicant's
To meet
needs.
their requirements.
And also talk about the fact that the lot itself is substandard in size. I mean, a lot in this zoning district should be a minimum of a quarter, 20, almost a half an acre, with 20% coverage. That's really where the.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the character of the neighborhood that gets addressed in this one, but
And the hardship for the homeowner. accomplish what they.
Maybe just
want to do.
incorporate it all, Doug. It's not wrong to say that about the garages, but it's not really a powerful finding for this problem.
So I'm not sure how to word it then.
All right, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you just let that number one go for now, and why don't you go on and let's see what else you got?
Good. 2.
Well, let's start with new number one. How about that?
Okay. Well, I thought we're leaving it that the new number 1.
Well, yeah, so your number 2 will be number 1. Just keep reading, but just
okay.
Okay.
Numerous other options were explored, and the option proposed best meets the needs and requirements, and the variance is the minimum necessary to meet the owner's requirements.
Okay.
And then I had 3. Next one, the variance is not a substantial request, being for 24% coverage where 20% is allowed. And
Now make a statement about the actual size of the lot. The lot itself is substandard, forcing the need for a coverage variance.
Okay, can you insert that language then?
Well, let's make another one. This would be number 3 then. Just go ahead.
Because I wasn't really aware of the substandard size of the lot.
Well, Rick just explained it a few minutes ago.
Right, no, I get it now.
Yeah.
Then I had the desire for a garage is self-created, but the layout of the property created in 1935 makes so this is where the substandard, the layout of the property created in 1935 made a substandard size lot, making the addition of a garage as proposed the preferred option.
And the need for a coverage variance. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just add that on there. Do you have anything else that you need?
Other being the usual plans submitted and testimony given, you submitted.
You need to go back because we lost you there. So start with your conditions again.
Conditions?
Yeah,
yes.
read those again.
This variance applies only to the application submitted and testimony given, and to all necessary permits shall be obtained.
Okay. Are you clear with that, Rick?
Oh, second.
Second.
I'll second.
Got Judy for a second.
Okay.
Motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Watson. Ms.
Yes,
Watson.
yes. Couldn't get
Mr.
off
Mites.
mute.
Mr. Mites.
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright.
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt.
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz.
Yes.
And Mr. Pratt.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, so our next one is the replacement sign over on 1065. Anyone have any concerns about that?
No problem.
Okay. All right.
Even nicer.
All right, let's go. I move we approve application 7A0120 based on the following findings of fact. 1, the proposed sign will be replacing an existing sign in nearly the same location on the building, which is currently 3 feet taller than the proposed. 2, the request to continue at 37 feet is necessary for patients to easily identify the building from nearby roadways. 3, no other alternative could produce the desired result. Conditions. This variance is based on the plan submitted and testimony given as to the size and location of the sign. 2, the sign shall be non-illuminated. And 3, all ARB and other permits shall be obtained.
All ARB and planning board approval shall be obtained.
Okay, very good.
Okay, second,
Sorry, who had that second, Judy?
Judy?
Motion to approve with condition. The motion is to approve with conditions. Mr. Clapp?
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
Yes.
Schmidt? Schmidt?
She's muted.
You're muted again.
I did it the wrong way. Sorry. Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
And Mr. Mites?
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, the next application is Sonny's or Lena's or whatever he's calling it now. He must have a new girlfriend or something, maybe. I don't know.
Oh.
No, this is great. He's great. He does a great job there. Okay. All right. So any problems with this?
No.
Okay.
Okay, can I go?
Yes.
Okay,
Go.
I move we approve application 7A0220 based on the following findings of fact. 1, the present owner is requesting a temporary and revocable use permit, which he has had since 2007. This ongoing business is a viable part of this community. In fact, were there no neighborhoods to support the business, the applicant's business would not be sustainable. 2, there have been no complaints to the town in regard to any aspect of the business since the renewal of this variance is since renewal of this variance, I don't know what it means, during the prior years. You have that, Rick?
Hope our stenographer has it.
Or, okay, okay.
So read it again.
All right, there have been no complaints to the town in regard to any aspect of the business since the renewal of this variance in prior years. Okay, 3, the variance will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. 4, the alleged hardship is unique in this otherwise residential area. 4, the alleged hardship has not been self-created. Conditions, the use approved in this variance is only for the business as described in the application and testimony. 2, all waste from the business will be properly disposed of as per section 207-14.2. 3, the hours of operation shall not exceed 7 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. 4, external lighting, noise, and odor shall be controlled so as not to annoy any nearby residents. 5, this temporary and revocable use permit shall expire on January 5, 2022.
Second.
Okay.
Motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Mites?
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright?
Yes.
Mr. Clapp?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay. So next we have the nice fence over there on Summit Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Any concerns about the fence?
No.
Nope.
Yeah, some beautiful properties back there. Okay, Kathleen, it's yours.
All right. I move to approve application 7A-03-20 based on the following findings of fact. 1, the variance request will allow the applicants to construct in their backyard a 4-foot fence and 5-foot gate, which is in excess of the 3.5 feet permitted by the code. 2, the property in question is a corner lot next to an inclined road. 3, the granting of the variance does not appear to result in any substantial detriment to nearby properties, or otherwise adversely affect the character of the neighborhood. 4, there is no evidence that there would be a negative impact on the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. Conditions, the variance applies only to the fence and gate as described in the application and testimony provided and will not apply to future projects. 2, all necessary building permits shall be obtained.
Second.
Judy.
Motion is to approve with conditions. Mr. Clapp,
Yes.
Ms. Thompson-Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, so then we move over to Howland Road with the large garage hobby area, the hobby lobby.
Oh, no.
Okay, so anyway, do we have any concerns about this? We need to go around the room or?
Good.
I'm not-
Around the screen?
I'm not sure he really addressed the water drainage issues. I mean, it's sort of a he said, she said, I suppose.
Yeah,
Right, what-
I mean,
Well,
go ahead.
well, in regards to that, I mean, there's a town law regarding drainage. So if
Right.
he were to build this and cause an issue on a neighboring property, he would be responsible to correct that problem.
We've also put it as conditions numerous times.
Right, which we can certainly say direct all your water from this structure away from the neighboring properties into your property line. If they're going to have gutters and make sure the downspouts are pointed into the property, not towards the property line.
It's kind of a hole there, and then, having the gravel driveway helps. If it was an asphalt driveway, it might create a little more trouble. So,
Sure. It's just, I don't quite buy the argument that this is their only option. It's a big lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it seems like it's closer to the neighbor's house than to their own house.
Right. And to me, it's on the prettiest part of the parcel when you're looking at it from the street. I mean,
Sure.
to me,
It's very obvious. It's not setback.
No,
a big
it's
backyard.
It's there,
So
if they move that garage over closer to the house, then they might be able to get away with getting rid of one of the curb cuts and using that driveway as a dual driveway, one for the house and one for this garage. So I think there are some alternatives.
there was one other point that he made that really probably was interesting was that, when you think and look at the size of that home, about 1,000 square feet, and now you're adding another almost 1,000 square feet structure on the same. I mean, it really is going to look a little peculiar because of the scale of it.
Yeah, I mean, it helps that it's turned 90 degrees, so you don't see the whole thing, but I feel it's hard to argue that it's not substantial, and that I feel that it's hard to argue that there aren't any other alternatives.
Right.
So I do have my hesitations on this one. This is the hardest one for me in this meeting.
Right.
Okay. All right, who wants to speak there? Kathleen, are you trying to speak?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out, and I don't know if this is a valid concern, but the double driveways I find really aesthetically not pleasing. I know that's a more rural, they got people, with their boats or whatever outside there, but it just seems, it's ugly. It's ugly to have double driveways, and I was thinking that the other driveway was going to go away. I don't know where I came up with that, but I was a little surprised to see that there's going to be this driveway, giant garage, and then another driveway.
Yeah, they've taken the garage door off the house, so it definitely looks like a part of the house. It doesn't look like a garage anymore.
Right.
So the driveway there, to me, seems a little out of place if they're asking to build another garage.
Right. And Rick did ask about it, and he said, well, I need it. But again, if you got a house of 1,000 square feet, to have 3 parking spaces is a little much also.
Right.
Well, and maybe build the one driveway that they need and the garage big enough to store the vehicles that they need.
Right. Okay. So what does anyone else think? I think.
Real quick, do they need additional permits to have a second curb cut?
Yes. Yeah, they need a variance for the second curb cut.
Yeah, that's the
But
second
they would-
part of this application. Right.
I wasn't
They
sure.
would need a highway permit from
That's
the
what I was asking
highway
about.
department,
Yeah.
right? For any work in the right of way, they would need. And that's why that berm that's in front of that house, it's a pretty substantial berm. And I'm just curious how the highway department feels about, you know,
Cutting it down.
cutting into it. Yeah, and how
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing is too, I was not able to see all the way around to the back when I was there. But if indeed they did put in just the gravel driveway, and Kathleen, I hear you about it, it's not aesthetically pleasing to me, but drainage wise, it's a benefit. But get rid of the blacktop driveway on the left of the property and take the gravel and bend it to go behind the house if they need a space to park an extra car. So then the car wouldn't even show, and we could get rid of maybe that other driveway if they're using it just to basically store a car.
Yeah. The other interesting point is, you know, where they captured the old garage and turned it into some living space. That wasn't the 2-car garage before. So really what you're doing here is you're adding a 2-car garage plus this work area, you know, for a 1,000 square foot house.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay,
almost
so-
wonder if it's worth tabling it.
Or
For me, I don't necessarily have a problem with the fact that they're creating a 900 square feet or whatever it is, just as much as the placement of it. I don't feel that I've seen that they've exhausted all alternatives.
or you would like to see if there are alternatives?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because if you're going to table something, there has to be a valid concern of what
The other thing
we're
is,
expecting.
really didn't talk about the neighbors, really serious, what seemed to be serious concerns. I guess they've had trouble kind of communicating a bit
Yeah.
about it, but how do we take all that into account with his plan versus her concerns?
Well, the concern was the drainage, right, Rick, if I remember right?
And the noise, but I don't know if that's founded.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So how about you, Doug? You haven't said anything. What's up with this one?
I think I'd be interested to hear what Highway has to say about it. And then I'm wondering, does ARB get involved in this, the site plan?
No, they don't.
Anything like that? No?
No.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, but I think if we approve the variance for that second thing, unless there's some safety concern, I'm not sure why the highway department wouldn't grant them the curb cut, right?
I would think they'd grant them the curb cut. I don't know what additional work might have to be done.
Yeah, you
Part of
pointed that out.
granting of the not really a curb cut, it's a highway permit.
Yeah, right. Access point.
Highway permit for working the right of way.
Right.
I still don't. I don't even know what. It just when I saw that, I was a little surprised that there was such a berm there, and if it's there
Right.
for a reason,
Yeah.
maybe I don't know.
Well, the other potential problem with this, and I don't know what kind of engineering they really did though, but because the way that grade is there, I mean, what you're going to have is maybe not as a big a problem for the neighbor, but you know, you don't want that foundation for that garage in water all the time either, you know, so it's kind of peculiar the way they place it in that hole, you know.
Right.
So what are we thinking here, friends? I mean,
Who's this?
I like Jennifer's suggestion to table. I was gonna suggest tabling it for evidence as to alternative locations that would be shielded more from the roadway and appear more, what's the right word, to the main house, more
More associated with the main house.
That's
Instead of
exactly what I was
making it like I think was that a separate living unit almost.
yeah, they look like two houses, right?
Right.
And I have some concerns that if you allow two driveways to two structures that are about the same size, that's real easy to start making two homes out of something that was never intended to be a separate living unit.
You might want to just clip on to this table though also and evidence of the ability to manage the drainage. Okay?
That was my two. Yep.
Yeah, I think those are two valid things that we could tell them.
And I would say investigate incorporating the two driveways into one so that you can eliminate the need for a second curb cut.
Would you put that in the table, or is that something you would tell
Yeah, I
them?
would say investigate tabling it for one of them is tabling it for the investigation of combining the two driveways into one curb cut
Okay.
or
Can
something
I-
like that.
Can I incorporate that into?
Or you can just deny it.
I want it to look like associated with one primary residence, and that includes combining the two driveways so that they function together.
Or eliminating one.
Eliminate it. Yeah, if you deny number two, then they're gonna have to do something, you know. If you look at it that way, then they're going to have to incorporate.
Yeah, you could probably table number one and stay out of the driveway thing, and then just deny number two.
I don't know that I'd always be necessarily opposed to having a second driveway, especially that it's
There's got to be a
gravel.
good, but usually with second curb cuts, there's got to be a good reason. And a lot of times it's because of safety, that you have a problem pulling out on a busy road, something like that. You know, so when we have granted a second curb cut, it usually has to do with safety, not just because you want to put your detached garage over here and use that a separate driveway for it. I don't
Yeah,
think
'cause
we've ever
now-
as a board just granted a curb cut or a second access point for requests like that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of keeping the parking lot if we have a garage.
Right.
Right. I was surprised that they proposed this second curb cut.
Well, he was
We're
honest. He said
talking
he's
to
got
them.
3 vehicles, you know, that he wants to park there. We asked him and he said it.
Yes, but I was surprised they kept that. When I was first dealing with them, I thought that they were going to work this garage off the existing curb cut. Then it came into me and I saw, well, wait a minute, you need another variance here.
Right. Okay, Andrew, I think you know what you need to do here.
Okay, I move to table application 7A-04-20, etc., to permit the applicant to submit the following additional information. Number 1, evidence as to alternative locations for the garage that would be shielded more from the roadway and appear more associated with the primary residence. And number 2, evidence.
Just go back and, Andrea, could you just go back and repeat that a little slower for me?
Yeah, sorry. The whole thing, or just number 1?
Number 1 for right now.
Yeah. Evidence as to alternative locations that would be shielded more from the roadway. I'm sorry. Alternative locations for the garage that would be shielded more from the roadway and appear more associated with the primary residence.
Hang on.
And then number 2.
Hang on for 1 second.
Sorry.
Hang on, please, for 1 second. Okay.
And then number 2, evidence of the ability to manage drainage displaced by a 900 plus square foot garage.
Okay, what else?
Those were my 2 tables.
Okay, that's tabling number 7A04.
Yes.
Okay,
Are we ready to vote on this one?
yes.
Or do you want to talk about 5 before we vote on this one? No?
I might as well vote.
Okay. Do we have a second?
We have a second for this one?
Judy.
Judy, okay. All right, let's vote on this one.
The motion is to table and keep the public hearing open.
Yes.
Table and keep the public hearing open. Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Mikes,
Yes.
Mr. Clapp,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins, right?
Yes. It would be
Okay.
great if I said no, since I made it.
Okay. All right. So now we're talking about the second access point. Now, Jennifer, you mentioned that you're not interested in restricting that.
I could go either way. I mean, I'd be fine with tabling it to wait to see what conversation is next time, but if we feel that we would never approve that, I could make a motion to deny it too, and I'm fine with that.
Well, I guess if to say that we deny it, then that forces them to combine them in some way, so.
And make it more associated with the house.
Yes, they either could clip
I guess
off
they,
the
didn't,
other.
they wouldn't have to, but I think they would want to keep that
Right.
closer to the house.
Yeah, or we could be, in kind with 04 and suggest to them that effort should be made to coordinate them and eliminate the need for a second driveway. I guess we could do that too. Because that's pretty much what everyone's saying anyway, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so shall I move
Yeah,
to?
sure.
Okay, I'll move to,
Go ahead, Rick.
What are you plan on doing? Tabling
Well-
it, Jennifer?
Oh,
no,
What's
it
your
sounded,
motion?
it sounded like the motion was to deny.
yeah.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Are we tabling it or are we denying it?
Yeah.
Does anybody have any other different feelings?
Well, I think if we deny it, then they're forced to do something else. And you're already telling them in 7A4 that you need them to do something else. So, I think that's okay unless someone objects. It would be fine with me. Okay, let's proceed.
Oh, okay. I'm going to read what I just wrote right now. I haven't proofed it, so please proof it. Okay. I move that we deny application 7A-05-20 based on the following findings of fact. Number one, other alternatives such as eliminating the original driveway or combining the two driveways into one curb cut would eliminate the need for a variance. It could just be that, or I could add number two, if approved, a substantial detriment to nearby properties may be likely because of stormwater drainage issues on the property that may affect the neighboring property.
I'd rather leave two out only because they're doing a gravel second one and
you don't really know.
Probably not.
So
but you could maybe with number two, I don't know if you want to talk about kind of doing it in negative here, but there was no evidence given that the second curb cut was necessary for access purposes, for safety purposes, anything like that. They didn't give us a reason why they needed the second access.
So number two, insufficient evidence was provided for a safety need for a second curb cut on the property. Safety related need.
I would even say a need. I don't think.
Yeah, you might want to just say a need.
A need.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, that
Yes. Insufficient evidence was given.
Was not given.
As insufficient evidence was provided to demonstrate a need for a second curb cut on the property.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
Good.
Second?
Second.
And doubling the curb cut is substantial.
100%. 100%.
And self-created.
All right.
The motion is to deny 7A0520. Mr. Clapp?
Yes.
Mr. Mites?
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
The motion to deny carries.
Okay. All right, so we're at the end, and the end is the pergola at the back of the summit. Does anyone have any concerns about this lovely structures?
Give them their shade.
Yes.
The only question or thought I had didn't address the fire pit. Is there any reason that needs to be addressed in any way?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, Doug, let's go.
Okay. I move to approve application 7A0620 based on the following findings of fact. Number one, the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the neighborhood, as it is a part of the Jewish Senior Life campus. and not visible from the street or nearby public spaces. 2, the proposed project is adjacent to existing dining facilities and is intended to provide a physically comfortable space for residents to enjoy some outdoor time. 3, the variance at 62.5% is substantial, but the design of the pergola structure will complement the existing buildings. And 4, the variance is the minimum needed to provide suitable, physically comfortable outdoor space for the senior residents. Conditions: the application applies only to the plan submitted and testimony given, and 2, all necessary permits shall be obtained.
A second?
Second.
Judy?
Yep.
Motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Ms. Swanson?
Yes.
Lights?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson's right.
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Clapp? Mr. Clapp? Doug? Doug?
I think
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
You look like you were swatting at seagulls or something.
Hey, everybody, thank you very much. I know this was very different.
No, I want to say thank you to the staff. You were amazing. Giving
Yeah,
us-
thank Jeff in the background, bringing
Yes,
up all
everything
the,
was great.
everything.
Guys, thank you. And
Let's
the-
hope we don't have to stay good at this, okay?
Actually, I was
No,
going to say,
I
can we
think we're
always do
gonna-
it this way? Because this is great.
I
Oh,
think
you
we're
like
gonna
it?
get a little better as time goes on. I think we're gonna have a few more times to try it, but hopefully we'll get back to normal and not too long. And again, I really appreciate everybody's hard work and trying to pull this off. I know it's not easy.
Oh, this was great. Thank you all. You made it really easy, and thanks for the tutorial yesterday. That was really good.
Welcome.
All right, have a good night, everybody.
Okay, bye-bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
Happy 4th of July.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.